We go from the news capital of the world. We're delighted you're with us. And where are you? Well, you're on the Ayn Rand Center UK, and you're on the Daily Objective. We come to you, every day with original programming inspired by Ayn Rand's Objectivism. We're the largest network in history, bringing you some of the brightest names and ideas within Objectivism, discussions on everything from aesthetics and politics and economics and all the rest, with so many interesting speakers. And of course, our purpose is to enrich your life, to make your life better. And we're only able to do that because of your support of the Ayn Rand Center UK. Thank you, Robert, kicking us off in the super chat with a very generous contribution. So we need that. £2 at a time, £5 at a time, become a monthly member and become a YouTube subscriber. It's really kind of not that much. And you're able to kind of help us bring you people like James Valiant, Harry Binswanger, Don Watkins, so many great names and thinkers within Objectivism. And like us, you are students of Objectivism. That's what Ms. Rand wanted people to refer themselves as, students of Objectivism. I've been studying this for more than 20 years and I'm still learning, and it's fun, right? It's fun. And we've got a fun show today we're going to bring you. But I want to mention before we start very briefly, a really exciting retreat that we're going to be having. So it's coming up this October on the beautiful campus of Converse University in Spartanburg, South Carolina. Don't miss this. It's a 3-day immersion in romantic music and the visual arts with noted Objectivist artists and intellectuals. We're going to be talking about some of the greatest artworks from the 19th and early 20th centuries. And, romanticism, aesthetics, this is a big part of Ms. Rand's philosophy. I don't think it gets the play and attention that it should. So our keynote speaker is going to be Dr. Harry Binswanger. I will be there along with a dozen distinguished Objectivist art and musical experts. I'll be there not as an expert, but just as someone there enjoying the conference. So please join us and visit the website for full program details. It's ethos, ETHOSPG.com. That's ETHOSPG.com. Check out the live chat for the link. And if you register before September 2nd, you're going to save quite a bit of money. So don't miss that. The Resurrecting Romanticism Conference, it's coming up and you can be part of it. Meet so many of the great speakers, not to mention Dr. Binswanger, who appears on this network. So don't miss that at all. And thank you for supporting it. And thank you for supporting what we do. And we've got a great program for you today, not even so much about aesthetics, maybe more epistemology. And keep in mind, what we bring you here is not strict objectivism in the sense that most of us, like myself, as we said, are students of objectivism. But what's fun is kind of trying to apply objectivism, see it around in our daily lives and think about it in terms of bettering our lives and how to live life more fully, how to live it with greater gusto and greater satisfaction. And I've got a tremendous presentation for you this morning or this evening, wherever you are in the world. And you'll allow me, I should say, to play, as they say, armchair scientist. And for those of you tuning in on our podcast apps, yes, there's a photo of an armchair up there. And I'm going to play a little bit of armchair scientist, but try to apply some of Ms. Rand's ideas to some breaking news, a study that came out just earlier this week. And I'm going to take you back to an episode that I presented just 3 months ago called Heart or Head, where we revisited one of my favorite lines from Atlas Shrugged, where one of the characters says, if any part of your uncertainty is a conflict between your heart and your mind, follow your mind. We love that quote, and not discounting emotions, but understanding their place. And as I interpreted it, it basically means what ultimately determines how things go for us. It's not luck, it's not prayer, it's not hope, it's our mind. It's how we think, it's how we approach the world. So with that in mind, I'm going to steer your attention to, as they say, a story ripped from the headlines. And that is a bit of research that was released just recently, just this last week. This is published in Cognitive Science, the publication of Cognitive Science. And here's the headline. New psychology research indicates that higher general cognitive ability is linked to reduced emotional responding. How about that? Let's delve into that a little bit. And I went ahead and I didn't just look at the headline of the article. I found the actual study. This is in the Journal of Intelligence, volume 99, July, August of 2023. The study entitled General Cognitive Ability as Assessed by Self-Reported ACT Scores is Associated with Reduced Emotional Responding, Evidence from a Dynamic Affect Reactivity Task. And the name of the authors, the scientists are there. Kind of fascinating. Let's delve into this, just understand a bit of what they're talking about. Well, according to the study, general cognitive ability, which is referred to as the G factor or simply intelligence, it encompasses a cognitive range of skills like reasoning, problem solving, abstract thinking, and logical deduction. It's often assessed through various standardized tests, such as scholastic achievement tests like the SAT and ACT. The authors of this new study were interested in understanding how individual differences in cognitive ability might extend to emotional responses. So they aim to investigate whether individuals with higher cognitive ability exhibit different patterns of emotional reactivity compared to those with lower cognitive ability. So basically, this is my understanding now, in how people who have high cognitive ability deal with their emotions versus people who have low cognitive ability. And here's the actual abstract from the study. I'll let you read the whole thing, but here's the money line, if you will. General cognitive ability assessed by proxy with self-reported ACT scores was linked to less intense peak reactions that were delayed, and or to velocities of effect change that were less pronounced. And they're talking about emotions. So less intense peak reaction in emotions that were delayed, and velocities of change in emotions that were less pronounced. So in all the studies, the researchers found that participants with higher cognitive ability exhibited distinct patterns. Basically, their emotional reactions started more slowly, they don't get as intense, and they change more gradually. So it's not that they don't have emotions. The highly cognitive people, it's not that they don't have emotions, but their emotion starts more slowly, their emotions don't get as intense, and their emotions change more gradually. Now, this made me think of a line from Miss Rand in The New Intellectual, quote, "One must differentiate between one's thoughts and one's emotions with full clarity and precision." And she's alluding to this process of introspection there. And to me, this is what I'm reading into this study, is that, people who are highly intelligent, they don't react, their emotions are not there, to use Miss Rand's line, tools of cognition. Their emotions are not driving the train. Their emotions are not steering their ship. Their emotions are slower to develop. And kind of projecting here a bit, but I think that they're more thoughtful, they peak lower. So their emotions are not driving their train. And I believe that's a big portion of why they are a lot more successful. Here's again quoting from the article. "Those with higher cognitive ability displayed slower peaks in their emotional responses. This means that their emotions reach their highest intensity more gradually compared to individuals with lower cognitive ability." So it doesn't mean they were emotionless, doesn't mean they didn't have emotions, but the idea that their emotions got intense more gradually. And they were, again, according to the study, less intense. So the lower cognitive people got to intense emotions more quickly. They were even higher intensity than lower emotional or higher emotional people, and were more quickly to change. Again, quickly quoting from a study, participants with higher cognitive ability had velocities of change. This is the rate in which emotions change from onset to peak. These were less pronounced. Now, as someone who watches his blood sugar, the idea of a slow, gradual change in blood sugar is pretty important when it comes to health. So this is pretty interesting that people with higher cognitive abilities generally had a more controlled and moderated emotional response. What did Miss Rand say? This is from the Playboy interview. "If a man takes his emotions as the cause and his mind as their passive effect, if he is guided by his emotions and uses his mind only to rationalize or justify them somehow, then he is acting immorally. He is condemning himself to misery, failure, defeat, and he will achieve nothing but destruction, his own and that of others. And to me, this is very telling of what this research study has shown. It's not that, objectivism is for Dr. Spock, no emotions, you're just logic. The idea is if you're driven by your emotions, if your emotions are your tools of cognition, if your emotions change very dramatically based on my interpretation here, complete whim, then yes, you are acting, I believe, immorally, and the result is misery, failure, defeat, or destruction. So it's not, I believe, again, my interpretation that Miss Rand would put down emotions. I mean, if you read anything about her life, she's a very intensely emotional woman and very passionate about her values. But it's the idea is that emotions are important, but they're not driving the train. You've got to know their place. And when Miss Rand talks about emotions, she's always talking about the need to introspect around those emotions. What am I thinking? Where does it come from? Why am I thinking this? What's going on here? They're automatic responses that require some introspection. Again, quoting from Miss Rand, an emotion as such tells you nothing about reality beyond the fact that it makes you feel something. And isn't that interesting? Going back to the study, that people who have higher emotional responses, they're not going by reality. They're just going by their own feelings. They're going by caprice. They're going by whim. This is, I believe, what the study demonstrates. A rational man knows or makes the point to discover, again, quoting from Miss Rand, the source of his emotions, the basic premises from which they come. If his premises are wrong, he corrects them. He never acts on emotions for which he cannot account, meaning of which he cannot understand. So this is my interpretation of the study. Again, what Miss Rand said is, highly intelligent people, they have emotions, but they're more thoughtful. They don't act on them. They interpret them. They introspect about them. And as Ms. Rand points out, if their premises are wrong about their emotions, they're corrected. And more than anything, they're not tools of cognition. And I've put that, as you know, in Comic Sans font to emphasize the ludicrous nature of just the thought that emotions are tools of cognition. But this, I think, is Ms. Rand's whole point. Not that my understanding is that not that people are emotionless, but that you know your place, you introspect about your emotions. And in fact, this study seems to demonstrate that highly intelligent people or more intelligent people are not guided by their emotions. They are more slow to peak. They are more thoughtful about them. And the velocity of change between their peaks and troughs and their emotions are nowhere near where they are in lower cognitive reporting individuals. Thank you to Bonnie for your generous super chat. Thank you to Jeff. Jeff says, it's my birthday. My gift to myself is to thank ARCUK for guidance on how to live well. Jeff, thank you so much. You're such a tremendous supporter, as is Bonnie, as is Robert, as is so many of you on our super chat. You are the ones that keep us in business. We bring you 2 new shows every day. I mean, an hour plus of original objectivist programming. And we're only able to do it because of Jeff acting his own self-interest. He's part of our philosophy posse, and we want you to be part of it as well. So, hit us up. It's £5, £10. It really goes a long way. We've got an international team of very earnest young people and some other folks like myself who donate our time to bring you these shows. And thank you for your support. We really need it, £5, £10 at a time. So it all comes back to, I believe, what Dr. Peikoff said: to save the world is the simplest thing in the world. All one has to do is think, especially when it comes to your emotions. And there's a great picture I was pleased to get of myself and Dr. Peikoff just a number of months ago. So even when it comes to your emotions, the studies seem to suggest highly intelligent people are not driven by them. They're driven by introspection, thoughts, not letting their emotions drive the train, letting their brain and letting their reason drive the train. So understand that by reading Ayn Rand, understand individualism, rational self-interest, and reason. This is what Miss Rand presents, and I know it has benefited Jeff and so many others who share our passion for her ideas and passion for living a successful, productive, value-laden life. So thanks for the support. We're here Monday through Friday with 2 original shows. We're only able to bring them to you because of your help, your chats, your support, £5 at a time, £10 at a time. And more than anything, become that monthly member. I mean, we already do it for Netflix and Disney Plus and Hulu and X videos or whatever you do it for all these other services. Do it for the one service that's actually affecting change worldwide. I mean, we've got our staff streaming out throughout Europe now, throughout UK, meeting with people, passing out copies of Ayn Rand's literature. Our videos are being viewed by thousands and thousands of people every week. So help us keep on the air by hitting us up with £5 or £10. So what's coming up? I mean, I know there's always something coming up. So the only question is what's coming up next on the Ayn Rand Center UK? Well, first, more than anything, like the show, share the show. As we said, become a member of what we're doing and support us because you are the ones keeping us on the air day after day after day. So keep it tuned, like our channel, and of course, we'll be back here once again tomorrow. See, unlike some of the other hosts here, we give it to you neat. We give it to you tight. We don't waste your time. So join us again tomorrow for another, well, actually, not even tomorrow. Joining us in 15 minutes for your other program today, which is the reality show. Always a star-studded cast. Really interesting people from around the intellectual world and the business world and the artistic world and the like. So go get a beverage, go get a hot or cold toddy, probably a cold toddy if you're in the States, and we'll see you back here in just 14 minutes for the reality show on the Ayn Rand Center UK. Click that link and best premises.